Hi, my name is Madison Fanslow, and today we're going to be talking about Angelman Syndrome. First, I'm going to talk about the nickname Happy Puppet Children. Harry Angelman himself actually created this nickname, and he was going to be the first person to ever describe Angelman Syndrome in 1965. So first things first, we're going to talk about these genetic principles demonstrated, and it's going to be the loss of the function of the gene UBE3A, and that's going to be located on chromosome 15. Now, only certain areas of the brain are going to contain that mother's copy of that gene, and you're also going to get a copy of UBE3A from your father as well, but only certain areas of your brain is going to contain that mother's copy, and when that is deleted, that means there's no active genes in your brain of UBE3A. So, like I just said, the copy of the gene comes from each parent. Now, Angelman syndrome occurs randomly during the formation of reproductive cells, so this is your egg and your sperm. When they collide, that's when that deletion actually happens, or it can happen during your early embryo development. Angelman syndrome is very rarely inherited, and if it is, it's going to be a mutation in that UBE3A gene, or in that nearby region of DNA that controls gene activation. Now, that is when it can be passed through generations. But 75% cases are going to be caused by the deletion of chromosome 15 that contains the UBE3A gene, and then 11% of those cases are going to be that mutation between either that DNA or the UBE3A gene. So these phenotypes of this is going to be jerky movements while they're walking, so they're very unsteady, they cannot run. They're going to have a very happy demeanor. If you look at this little guy down here, you can see his wide mouth. They smile quite a lot. They laugh inappropriately. It's very, unusually happy. They do have a small head size and unusually fair skin and light hair. Again, you can see by this little guy down here. They have epilepsy, which is like recurring seizures. Scoliosis, the little wave in your back. And then they're also going to have a normal life expectancy. None of this is really fatal. It's just kind of appearances. So my case study is going to take place in Mashhad, Iran. It's at the Pediatrics Neurological Clinic. It's about an 8-year-old boy who was admitted for development delay and seizure attacks that began 6 years ago. So he was only 2 when this started, and they waited quite a long time to ever get started on his treatment. So he was the second child of healthy parents, no evidence of seizures or mental retardation in his family. So that does prove that inheritance really takes no place in this. He was going to be born with a normal birth weight and a normal APGAR score, but his head circumference was 51 centimeters as of 8 years old. So they began noticing that delay at 2 years old. He was walking very unsteady, which I had mentioned earlier. He had very restricted communication and severe mental retardation. Back to the autistic behavior. His muscle tone, force, and deep tendon reflexes were all normal. His brain MRI and CBC tests were all normal. So with the other symptoms, they went ahead and did genetic testing and found the deletion of that chromosome 15 that contains UBE3A. There is no current treatment, and there's only medicine to minimize those symptoms, mostly those seizures. These are going to be the people involved. I don't even want to try. I don't want to slaughter people's names, but these are all the people that took place in his case and did the studying of his genetics. Alright, so again, this is the deletion of that chromosome 15 that contains UBE3A. It is also named 15q11-q13. The inheritance of the UBE3A mutation. So this is going to be an abnormality during that imprinting process, which is also like the reproduction process of the sperm and the egg coming together. And that's when, you're getting all your genes, and that's when that deletion is going to occur. But it's about 1 in 15,000 to 20,000 births, so it is pretty rare. I mean, you're not going to see it a whole lot. And again, randomly occurs, rarely inherited. So how are you going to know if someone has Angelman syndrome? So they're going to diagnose by analyzing your behavior and your physical appearance. So if you seem to have all these problems, they're going to do a DNA examination to discover the deletion or that mutation of UBE3A on the chromosome 15. So this Angelman syndrome is going to primarily affect the nervous system. It's going to create delayed development, intellectual disability. So this is going to be your learning abilities, social skills, problem solving, all that kind of stuff. That's all going to be very impaired. A severe speech impairment. A lot of people with Angelman syndrome are mutes. They tend to not be able to speak. I mean, they can speak, but their words do not make sense, if you know what I mean. And autistic behavior. So that also goes back to the case study with the mental retardation. Management. Like I said, there is going to be no cure for Angelman syndrome, but there is medicine to help those certain symptoms. So anti-seizure medicine, communication therapy, which is going to be like sign language, picture communication, all that kind of stuff. Behavior therapy. So this is going to help overcome the hyperactivity, which is them going to be like real like overwhelmed all the time, like very hyper and crazy and happy and laughing and that all kind of stuff, but like over the top. And also that's going to aid in that development. It's very suggested to take early intervention to ensure of them reaching their full potential instead of waiting later on, because they might not be able to catch on to these therapies quick enough. Alright, so inheritance risk, which I already told you earlier, it's very rare to be inherited. So, but if you had inherited the gene from your mother, you about a 50% chance of inheriting the deletion again. But if you just had the deletion, it wasn't inherited, it's only 1% risk of reoccurring. So now if we look on this right side over here, it is not going to be included in the routine prenatal testing because it's such a rare disease. But genetic testing can be taken after noticing symptoms. So you, again, when you have a child, like, you should pay attention to what's going on and how they're developing based off other kids. So if you look over here on the left corner, I have everything that I just said over here. You have the inherited one right here, and then this is the non-inherited mutation and deletion. Alright, so this is going to be my tree. We have our humans, our chimps, cattle, a mouse and a rat, a chicken, and some zebrafish over here. And these are going to be my sources. Thank y'all.